What's with Mako? She's like stretching her back or something? Mako, you okay? You're looking at. I think she's got some kind of a problem. You better now? You okay? Oh, there she goes with her sciatica's acting up again. Shenanigans, back again, and welcome to MMOMG. My third week in SWTOR went much smoother than the first two, but it wasn't without a few hiccups. For starters, I've noticed that the game takes quite a bit of time for me to load in between zones. My computer beats both the minimum and recommended system requirements listed for SWTOR, but this title refuses to give me anything resembling a steady frame rate. In story missions, I can get 180 FPS, no problem, but in some areas I'm lucky to get 20. Traveling on my mount can sometimes freeze the game for a moment, and the transit speeder system often turns things into a slideshow. Because of this, I'm afraid to play on anything above the lowest graphics settings, even though I supposedly more than meet the recommended hardware specs. Searching online, it's obvious I'm not the only one that's more than a little skeptical of the posted system requirements. Phrases like a resource hog and not well optimized seem to come up a fair bit, and the only lengthy discussions I've found on the topic have been on SWTOR's own forums. Sadly, the only people allowed to post there are subscribers, and the few that dared to question the game's performance were overwhelmed by squads of white knights, with most threads devolving into typical internet arguments. As someone who's been live streaming for a while now and gaming for much longer, I can tell you that most titles are far more accurate when it comes to minimum and recommended system requirements. Now, I grant that what constitutes playable can be a little subjective, but if you can't break single-digit FPS while meeting a game's hardware specs, as the posts here show, something is definitely wrong somewhere. Anyway, I made it to the point in the class story where my character got his own ship. With that comes the option to play PvE space missions. While I dislike the idea of on-rail shooter space missions for an MMO, one could argue that it makes sense here, as that's exactly what space combat was in KOTOR to begin with. Having played a couple of space missions this week, I found them to be a simple, yet fun diversion from the normal questing experience. You control your ship with a combination of WASD and mouse, and combat is essentially left-click on targets with normal fire and right-click to launch missiles. You can also perform a barrel roll by hitting space, which can help dodge enemy fire. You have a limited supply of missiles, but as long as you play missions that match your ship's recommended gear, you'll have enough to get the job done. Additionally, I was surprised by how easily ship customization is handled. You can fit your ship with a variety of upgrades which can be easily accessed on its own tab right from your character menu. Like nearly everything else in SWTOR, however, free and preferred players are severely restricted with a cap of only 3 missions per week. Note that if you leave a space mission early, say to join for group content, that counts towards your weekly limit as well. I found this out the hard way by joining for Galactic Starfighter PvP, only to discover I was locked out of space missions the rest of the week afterward. Speaking of which, I have joined for one Galactic Starfighter match so far, and it's nothing like the PvE space missions. Once you join a match, you're given a choice of different ships, and you can even change ships upon respawning. Controls for this game mode are radically different from the PvE missions. Here you use W to accelerate, S to slow down, and X to cut engines entirely. Spacebar controls additional thrusters when you need to go fast, and you have a mini hotbar with some special abilities. Here, movement has this floaty quality to it, and you aim your regular fire at the target's lead indicator, which is a lot more like the space combat I was expecting initially. That said, I haven't played an aerial dogfight game in ages, and was absolute trash my first time out. Having watched a short video showing off the basics of combat, I realized this game mode has a lot of nuances and tricks to learn. I'm happy to see that player skill is an important factor in Galactic Starfighter PvP. As the video I mentioned demonstrates, a veteran player with nothing but the starting ships can actually be effective in a match. Gear and upgrades still play a key part in success and survivability, but learning how to effectively control your ship is perhaps the most important investment you can make. Oddly enough, Galactic Starfighter is essentially a game unto itself, and it seems that even free players have unlimited access to it. Sadly, the game mode only has a niche audience, making matches few and far between. I'm actually really impressed with it, and will make an effort to join matches as often as possible during my final week. Back on the ground, I made sure to purchase a stronghold at Droman Kaas. Strongholds are a form of player housing, which allow you to display a variety of collectibles, decorations, kiosks, and even NPCs. I was shocked to learn that strongholds are even available to free players, and was kind of impressed to find I could access 80 slots of legacy storage right away. Granted, there's still some restrictions for non-subscribers, but what I was able to unlock as a free player felt pretty generous compared to the majority of the game's other offerings so far. Customization is surprisingly robust. Clicking on Edit Mode shows all the locations you can place decor, which appear on walls, floors, and ceilings. The areas are color-coded with green allowing for small items, blue for medium, and purple for large decorations. Once you place an object, you can offset its position and even rotate it to some extent. If you don't like or need a certain layout, you can alter it. A large section can be configured to hold multiple groups of medium and/or small items instead. While this customization isn't as freeform as, say, WildStar's plots, it's still a lot better than player housing in many other titles. As for personal progress this week, my PowerTech Bounty Hunter is level 36 in about as many hours. I spent most of the week completing missions on Balmorra, a planet that really embodies the war in Star Wars. I even flirted my way into Darth Lacris's good graces. Okay, I mean pants. Next week, I'll talk a bit about flashpoints and anything else notable, as well as give my final thoughts on SWTOR after a month of play. Join me in-game on the Jedi Covenant server or watch live Sundays through Wednesdays, starting 9 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, YouTube, Mixer, or Smashcast. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing for more gaming content. Follow me on Twitter to stay updated on everything I post, videos, articles, giveaways, and more. Thanks so much for watching, and as always, take care, guys.
All weapons are allowed, but you fight alone. No assistance. Now show us which one of you will join the Great Hunt. Fight!
I thought it said we weren't allowed to have backup. My companion is still here, though. We're totally not cheating.
The melee is over. One hunter remains.
Totally not cheating. Yeah.